Hey guys, it's Guru Mike Panda by Warrior Martial Arts, and I just want to make a really quick video today talking about a topic that I get quite a few questions about, and it's how do you balance life as a dad and as a martial artist, right? And I know this is a question that I get quite a bit because one, I'm both a dad and a martial artist, and I know there's a lot of people who follow us on YouTube, on Instagram, and on Facebook that are married and have children, and maybe you've been on a martial arts journey your entire life, or maybe you've always been interested in doing martial arts, but the prospect of balancing family life and your martial arts life seems a little daunting. And so whether you are a seasoned dad, veteran who has been a dad for quite some time and you know the ropes already, or maybe you are about to be a father and you're a little nervous about how to balance your new life as a dad with your martial arts journey in your life, I just want to make this quick video for you. And a big inspiration for this video came from actually something I'm going through right now. My wife and I are expecting our second son in a few days. And right now we're battening down the hatches and we're getting the house ready. And the little guy's due any minute now. And so I want to make this quick video while I have the chance because I know that I'm going to be going through this type of transition again. And these are some of the things that I've learned from my previous son after we had our first son 4 years ago. These are some of the lessons I've gleaned from that and how I'm going to carry those lessons into this new transition in our life with our second son. Okay, so I am a lifelong martial artist. I've been a martial artist since I was about 9 years old. And I can't really think of a time in my life where I wasn't obsessed with martial arts training, specifically Filipino martial arts training, right? I've been doing it for as long as I can remember. And I remember when I got married and my wife said a few months later, oh, by the way, I'm pregnant. I remember this sense of just nervousness because one, I'm about to be a dad. I don't know if I'm ready. It's a very daunting task because it's not something that you can really train for, right? But there's also this sense of joy because I knew I was going to be a dad. But there's also this coming back to nervousness part because I wasn't sure how I was going to balance my life as a martial artist with my family life. And again, I totally understand where a lot of y'all are coming from with this because there's this mistaken notion that a lot of good men have that you need to forsake everything from your previous life before you're married and have kids, maybe interests, friendships, all those things, as it means to become a more present husband and father. And I'm here to tell you that's simply not the case, right? So before I continue, I just want to put that out there. If you're married and have children, or maybe you recently got married and you're about to have children and you're kind of worried about losing your martial arts journey, I'm telling you right now, it's up to you. It's your decision, it's your call. Because as a person who has made martial arts really a big part of the center of his life and now has a wife and a child and another child on the way, I can tell you right now that it is possible to balance both your family life and your martial arts life. And I've had students recently that just had kids. Actually, our very own Guru Dante and Guru Jen Paredes in our Arlington, Texas chapter, they recently gave birth to twins. You probably saw it on our Facebook page, right? And I saw them last week, and they have no intentions of slowing down in their training. They might have to take a little bit of time to manage juggling twins and as well as their firstborn son. I mean, that's a huge transition going from one child to three overnight. But after talking to them, after even talking to some of the guys in our group who are fathers, we kind of talk about this a little bit. It is a challenge, but it's possible. So let me tell you what I did to kind of balance this. So the first thing I did was that I really took inventory of my time, right? And the truth is that it feels like you have no time when you have a kid, right? I remember when my son was first born, we weren't sleeping. Days and nights blurred together. I was losing track of the days and I didn't know what was going on. And when I had to go back to my day job teaching for Kickstart Kids and then teaching at night, it just felt like overwhelming because I was teaching during the day, teaching at night, trying to have a family life all at the same time. And it felt like a lot. So I really had to take inventory of my time and what was really important to me. And I needed to make sure that I didn't look for time to train, but I created the time, right? And you have to be very intentional about making the time to train and creating the time to train. Now, I know that schedules are very difficult, especially once you have a kid. Like, it just takes forever just to get a newborn kid into a car and out of a car, right? You can't just leave the house, right? There's a process, right? You have to be able to pack things and diaper bags and all these things. So time becomes very precious. So one of the things that I did was, again, I took inventory. I became very intentional about my time and how I was spending it. So if my newborn son, when my first son was born, I remember while I was after I would change his diapers and I was trying to rock him to sleep, I remember I would just, this sounds funny, but I would do squats. I would knock out a few sets of squats, right? In the little increments of sleep that he would actually get, I would actually knock out, footwork drills and push-ups and things like that. Like, there was no real schedule. I was just trying to find the time and create that little time, the little spaces of time. Even if it was just a minute, even if it was 30 seconds, I tried to be intentional. So if I had any quote unquote downtime, even if it was a minute or two, I took advantage of it, all right? And I know this is exhausting and it might feel a little overwhelming because it feels like you're just doing more stuff. And you are, but remember, it's not doing more stuff for the sake of doing stuff. It's doing more stuff as a means to better yourself as a martial artist, which will eventually spill into bettering yourself as a husband and as a father. So again, be intentional, take inventory of your time. The second thing is I tried to find private training sessions, right, with my teachers in Atienza, Cali, right? So when I would fly back to the East Coast to train with them, I would make sure to go attend, the weekend events that I was, already going to begin with. But I also had to make sure that if I was in the area, I tried to take advantage of private one-on-one sessions that I could do on my own time, right? That was a big thing when, I started becoming a dad. I didn't really have the ability to just leave the house and every single night and go train like I used to. I had to acknowledge the fact that because I was taking inventory of my time, it was very precious, and I had to create avenues to train, and part of that was private training. So if you are in a martial arts school right now, and let's say you're about to have a child, and you're really nervous about not having the time to train or attend the weekly group classes, talk to your instructor and see if they could set up private sessions, one-on-one sessions. And this is beneficial in a lot of ways. One, it'll go according to your schedule. So as long as it matches your schedule and the time matches also your instructor's schedule, if you guys can set up that time, you are better off for it, and you don't have to worry about trying to race to that group class that night, right? Especially if you're trying to help your wife juggle all the kids, right? That's hard. The second reason why private training is so important is the fact that not only are you getting it done on your own time, but you're also getting focused attention on you and what you need to focus on. Now, if people ask me what's better, private training or group training, I say both. And I know it sounds like a stupid answer, kind of like a weak answer, but it's the truth. You need a group of people that you can train with regularly to make you better and build that camaraderie, that sense of tribe and brotherhood, which is what martial arts training is really all about. But at the same time, you also need to focus on certain things that you as an individual need help on. Things that each of us have needs for and that we need to really focus on. And I think that private training is excellent as an option as a dad, not just because it's on your own time, but also you can focus on the things that you are truly interested in and what you need to focus on for whatever your goals are, okay? And again, if you can get into a group training class, great, but in this particular season in your life, make sure that you invest in private training sessions. Is it more expensive? Absolutely. You will be definitely spending a little more money to take that one-on-one time with your instructor, 100%. It's going to be a little more expensive, but the investment is worth it because you're going to have focused one-on-one attention with that instructor. They'll be able to polish the things and sharpen the skills that you need specifically for your fighting game, as well as being able to make it according to your schedule or train according to your schedule, right? So I highly recommend that. So again, first thing is take inventory of your time, see how you're spending your time, all right? Second thing is, once you figure that out, make sure that you can insert a private session with your instructor as often as possible. Now, maybe you're listening to this and maybe you've always wanted to do martial arts, but you've got a bunch of kids running around the house, you got a day job, you got a wife, and you're like, how am I gonna make the time for this? There's just no possible way I'm gonna make time for this. And I got a lot of people watching this video right now, and you know who you are, that are in this position. How are you gonna balance your current family life with your martial arts life, okay? One of the silver linings of online training in this whole pandemic, right? And by the way, online training, we all know, is nowhere near the same feel as a in-person class, right? The energy, the connection, the community, the face-to-face interaction, the physical sparring, these are very, very important, and yet we don't get that through online training. However, I will say this, the one silver lining of this past pandemic is that it has shown us that online training is not only convenient and necessary in many cases, but it's also possible. But again, you really have to have the intention to want to do this. The thing is that a lot of people, when they hear about online training, they immediately think, oh, this is not as good as in-person training. And I'd be the first to agree with that. I think obviously in-person training is better. But let's say that's the only option you had. And in many cases, for you busy dads out there, especially in this pandemic and especially with everything going on right now, this is probably all you have in terms of options right now. Trust me, it's better than nothing. Online training is far better than nothing. So I highly recommend, if you can take the time to, if you can't make it to a private session, do online training. Okay, we at Binding Word Martial Arts, we offer online private training, and it's all helps you with your goals. You'll be working with me one-on-one through Zoom, through WebEx, through whatever you want to use, and we'll be able to work together on a program for you, and you'll be able to ask me in real time. I'll be able to critique your form in real time as well. I've been doing quite a bit of online training lately. Actually, this past Saturday, I trained our New Jersey chapters in northern New Jersey, from central, south, and northern New Jersey. Yes, there's a central New Jersey. I know a lot of y'all Jersey people are debating that. There is a central New Jersey. And all of those chapters met together, and I trained that group online, right? And it was a great time because they had the same level of camaraderie, but they also had the ability to learn from me directly and ask me questions in real time. Okay, so that's really important. So again, take inventory of your time. Set up private sessions with your instructor. And if for some reason the private sessions are not as consistent as you'd want, right? Online training is also a very, very good option, all right? And if you're doing online training, I highly recommend you get at least one other person with you. It could be a buddy, your neighbor who lives next door that you're cool with. And if you can get at least one other person to be in that online session with you, you have someone to actually work with physically, right? If you just had some space in your backyard, in your den, in your house, in your living room, whatever, and you carve that time out for the training with that, or the online training with that individual and me, or even your own instructor, wherever you're at, this would be extremely valuable to you, right? So again, instead of going to the training, if that's not an option, bring the training to you. And that goes with online training. And finding one person in the area, maybe a neighbor, maybe a relative, to train with you online. Now, the next tip I wanted to kind of bring up is just this mindset of you're gonna do whatever it takes. I've met a lot of guys who, once they get married and have kids, again, they throw their entire martial arts life to the wayside. I understand the intention. I don't think it's necessarily a bad intention. They want to be focused on their family, but remember, that comes at a sacrifice of your physical and mental health. Martial arts, for many of us, is not just a physical activity, it's a mental and spiritual activity. It keeps us grounded, it helps us deal with stress. And so I think it's so important that we have the mentality that once that kid shows up, once you realize everything is different around you, no matter how crazy it may seem or how chaotic it might get, we need to have that mentality that we're never going to step off the path. It might not be optimal, right? Like, I remember when my son was first born, it wasn't like I was sparring every single day and traveling to train with my instructor and do it. It wasn't happening for that first year. It wasn't happening. But what I did was I created not only the time to train, but I was very intentional about who I was spending the time with during the training I had, as well as making sure that no matter what happened, I still stayed on the path. Even if it was just 3 minutes of, shadow boxing or carenza or año, like in the corner, all right, for 3 minutes while my son was taking a nap or drinking his milk. That was better than zero, all right? So again, take inventory of your time. Reach out to your instructor or to a martial arts instructor about private training. Third thing, make sure that you can take advantage of online training in the meantime. This is so valuable right now, you guys. And 4, have that mentality that no matter how crazy life gets, you are going to make the time for the training, either through private training, doing online training, or maybe some other method. Maybe that instructor's willing to go to you and travel to you and train you in your home, all right? Just make sure you don't step off the path, because again, guys, martial arts training is not just about the physical fighting skill. It's about what it does for our minds and our souls, our sense of well-being. And once we're able to develop ourselves and fortify ourselves in that way, we're not only better martial artists, we're also better parents and better husbands.